All right, let's dive into this.
Yeah.
Let's dive into ITC Limited.
Okay.
They've been a big player in the Indian market
Right.
for over a century.
Yeah.
I mean, cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're known for, but
Mm-hmm.
their reach is way beyond that.
Yeah.
We're talking FMCG, we're talking hotels, even agribusiness.
Right.
So we've got all this data from Screener,
Uh-huh.
and I gotta say, it's a bit of a puzzle.
Yeah.
So consider us your financial detectives, right?
Okay.
We're going to try to figure out if ITC is a hidden gem
All right.
or maybe a cleverly disguised trap.
Well, what's fascinating is that their share price closed at 457 rupees
Okay.
on November 21st, down 2.18% for the day.
Oh, wow.
And it's been swinging between 529 and 399 rupees recently. So that makes you wonder what's driving this volatility.
Yeah.
For such a large company. They're part of
Right.
major indices like the BSE Sensex and the Nifty 50.
Yeah. It's like they're sending mixed signals,
It is confusing.
On the one hand, they're practically debt-free.
Right.
Which
is amazing.
For a company of this size, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very.
And they're offering a really nice dividend yield of 3.01%.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, they have a really solid return on equity track record.
Yeah.
27.5% over the past 3 years.
Yeah, so you would think investors would be, really interested.
You'd think they'd be throwing money at them.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that debt-free status is really interesting.
It is.
It definitely speaks to, them being very prudent.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wonder if it means they're missing some opportunities for growth. Maybe they could be leveraging that strength to expand more aggressively.
Yeah, maybe they're playing it safe, or maybe they're, I don't know, biding their time.
Yeah, yeah.
But then we look at the cons, and it gets even more confusing.
Yeah.
Their stock is trading at 7.6 times its book value.
Right.
I mean, isn't that a bit high? Especially considering their recent performance.
Well, a price-to-book ratio like that does suggest that the market thinks they're going to have some serious future growth.
Oh.
But then when you look at their sales growth, over the past 5 years, it's been kind of a measly 7.95%. So something doesn't quite add up there.
Yeah, it's like finding this beautiful antique car.
Right.
But it has a sputtering engine.
Yeah.
You know it has potential.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just not sure if it's worth the risk.
Right, right.
So let's open the hood and take a look at the financials and see if we can diagnose the problem.
So we're dealing with figures in rupees crores here.
Okay.
So these are big numbers, right?
All right.
The thing that really jumps out at me is that their operating profit has been growing consistently year over year. Mm-hmm.
So that core engine is running pretty smoothly.
Okay.
But their profit before tax has been a little bit all over the place.
Huh. So it's like their core business is humming along.
Right.
But something external is kind of throwing them off course.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it has something to do with their diverse business portfolio, right?
It could be.
They've got cigarettes, FMCG, hotels, agriculture. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And that diversification can be a double-edged sword.
Okay.
It can protect you if one market kind of goes down.
Right.
But it also raises questions about, are they really focused?
Yeah. Are they just
spread too thin?
Yeah, exactly.
And then to add to that, 78% of their revenue comes from India.
Yeah.
So they're really reliant on the Indian economy.
Right. Which, has its own ups and downs.
Exactly. So it's high stakes, high reward, right?
Yeah. I mean, if the Indian economy does really well, ITC is going to benefit.
Yeah.
But if things go the other way, they're going to be hurt more than a company that's more global.
Okay, so we've laid out the initial pieces of this puzzle.
Yeah.
We've seen the strengths, the financial stability, the great dividend, strong track record.
For sure.
But we've also seen some red flags.
Right.
Sluggish sales growth.
Yep.
A high price-to-book ratio. And they're heavily reliant on a single market.
Yeah. So what we need to do now is connect these dots.
Okay.
We need to look closer at their diversification strategy.
Right.
See if it's really working or if it's just distracting them.
Okay.
And of course, we can't ignore the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Right?
The cigarette business.
The cigarette business.
Yeah.
Is it helping them or hurting them?
We'll tackle all that in part 2 of this deep dive.
Sounds good. Welcome back. Yeah. So we're really getting into the weeds now with ITC.
Yeah. When I think of ITC, I still just picture those cigarette packs.
Yeah.
But they've really been pushing into other areas like FMCG,
right,
fast-moving consumer goods.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to reinvent themselves.
It is. It is.
For the modern consumer.
Yeah, and strategically it makes sense.
Yeah.
The cigarette market, it's still making money, but it's facing some challenges, and they know that.
Right.
But the question is this diversification really working for them?
Yeah.
Or are they spreading themselves too thin?
Well, their FMCG segment seems to be doing pretty well.
Okay.
I mean, they've got everything,
right,
flour, noodles, personal care products, even stationery.
Wow.
It's a pretty impressive range.
It is.
And they're really good at using their existing distribution network.
Yeah.
Which is a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's a classic way to get into a new market. Right.
When you're already strong in another one.
Exactly.
But we also have to think about their hotel business.
Right.
I mean, it was hit pretty hard by the pandemic.
It was.
That makes you wonder about the balance in their portfolio.
Yeah.
Are they too exposed in some areas that could be vulnerable?
It's like they're juggling a bunch of balls, and some are bound to drop.
Right. And speaking of dropping,
that
sales growth or the lack of it, it's still bugging me.
Me too.
7.95% over 5 years.
It's not great.
That's not very impressive.
Yeah.
Especially for a company like this.
Yeah, with their resources and market position.
It really makes you think.
Yes.
They're making smart moves.
Right.
But the numbers aren't there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a matter of time. These new ventures, sometimes they take a while to really get going.
Yeah.
And start making a real difference.
Patience. Patience.
Exactly.
That's what they say.
Especially in investing.
Right.
But I also wonder if there's a cultural element here.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, ITC has a lot of tradition behind it.
They do.
They've been the top dog in the cigarette market for a long time.
Right.
So maybe there's some resistance to change holding them back.
It's like they're a big ship.
It is.
It takes a while to turn.
Right, to change course.
Okay, so we've talked about their diversification strategy.
We have.
But we got to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The cigarettes.
Right.
It's a controversial product.
It is.
And a lot of investors just don't want to get involved with tobacco.
You don't want to touch it.
It's understandable.
Yeah. And it's a valid concern.
Right.
I mean, the world is moving towards healthier lifestyles.
For sure.
And there are more and more rules about tobacco. That's a challenge that ITC can't ignore.
They can't, but here's the thing.
Okay.
They know it.
Yeah.
They're not just sitting around doing nothing.
What are they doing?
They're diversifying.
They're coming up with new things. They're even looking at e-cigarettes.
Okay.
It's like they're a caterpillar trying to become a butterfly.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
It's messy. It's a little awkward.
It is.
But they might just pull it off.
Maybe.
The question is, can they do it quickly enough?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole anti-smoking movement is picking up speed.
It is.
And people are changing their habits.
Right.
Can ITC really change who they are before it's too late?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have the answer.
No crystal ball.
But what we can do is give you the info.
Yeah.
So you can make your own decision.
Exactly. We've looked at their money situation, how they're diversifying, the challenges ahead.
Right.
You got to weigh the risks and the rewards. Investing isn't about following the crowd.
Exactly.
It's about doing your homework, thinking for yourself.
Right.
Making choices that work for you.
Your values.
Exactly.
Your financial goals.
And don't forget the bigger picture.
Oh, right.
I mean, we talked about India, but there's also what's happening in the whole world.
Yeah.
Things like geopolitical tensions, inflation, interest rates, all that stuff affects ITC too.
It does. It all ties together.
It does.
So really important questions to think about if you're thinking of investing in ITC.
And remember, there's no right answer.
No.
It's all about what's right for you.
Your situation, your risk tolerance.
Exactly.
We've given you the pieces of the puzzle. Now you got to put them together.
And see what you come up with.
So we've really spent this deep dive, picking ITC apart
We have.
Examining their financials, their different businesses, and of course that big cigarette business.
The legacy, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a company at a crossroads, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot going for them. Financially, they're in great shape.
Right.
No debt.
Practically.
Good dividends. Strong return on equity. Those are all good things.
Those are all positives.
But their future really depends on how well they can navigate all these challenges they're facing.
It's almost like they're a ship trying to outrun a storm.
Okay.
You know?
I like that.
Their engine, the core business, that's strong. But the cargo, that dependence on cigarettes, that's weighing them down.
It is. It is.
And then you've got the winds of change.
Right.
You know, the regulations, consumer preferences.
All those external factors.
They're all blowing stronger and stronger.
Yeah. But the thing is, ITC needs all this.
They do. They do.
It's not like they're burying their heads in the sand.
Right.
I mean, look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're diversifying. They're innovating.
Coming up with new products.
Yeah, they're even looking at things like e-cigarettes.
Right. So they're aware.
They are.
But that's not enough, is it?
It's not. It's like
knowing you need to lose weight, but then not actually doing anything about it.
So you got to change your habits.
Exactly.
You got to put in the work.
Right. So can ITC really shed that cigarette company image?
Yeah. Can they really transform?
And become this consumer goods giant?
It's a big change.
It is.
And it's got to happen on a lot of levels.
Right.
It's not just about the products.
Right. It's their whole image.
It's the brand. It's convincing investors that they're in it for the long haul.
You know, this reminds me of those classic turnaround stories.
Oh, yeah.
You know, companies on the verge of collapse, and somehow they reinvent themselves.
Right, but those turnarounds usually involve some tough choices.
Some big decisions.
Yeah, it's ITC's leadership.
Right.
Really ready for that.
That's the question, and that's what investors need to think about.
Absolutely.
Because you're not just betting on the numbers.
Right.
You're betting on the people in charge.
You're betting on the jockey.
Yeah. Could they have the vision?
The skills.
The guts to make tough calls.
Can they steer the ship through the storm?
Exactly.
But let's bring it back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
We've given you a good look at ITC.
Inside and out.
The good, the bad.
The unknowns.
Now you got to put your investor hat on.
Right.
Ask yourself some key questions.
Okay, number one.
Number one, how do you feel about investing in a company that's so connected to tobacco?
Right. It's an ethical question.
It is. There's no right or wrong answer.
It's personal.
It's about your values.
Number two, do you believe in what they're doing?
Yeah, their diversification strategy.
All these different ventures.
Does that make sense?
Do they seem focused?
Or are they all over the place?
And maybe the most important question.
Yeah.
Do you trust the leadership?
Yeah, do you think they can pull this off?
Can they make this transition?
Are they the right people for the job?
We've given you all the tools.
The map, the compass.
Now it's your turn to explore.
If you want to learn more about ITC, you can find all the details on Screener.
It's been a great deep dive.
It has.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.